He's the man in the back of the room, y con la voz de Dios. He's told U.S. presidents where to sit, CEOs where to go, and stars when to shine. But as he likes to point out,
who cares? I care.
It's true, she cares, and so does he. He's entertainment and production agency owner and meeting and event master, Anthony Bollotta. She's his Agent 99, and you're about to be Bollotta-FIDE.
Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of Bollotta-FIDE, the one and only pod about events, entertainment, and engagement. I'm Anthony Bollotta, and I'm here as I am every week with the always delicious, always optimistic Alexia Cristina Postolini. Say, Opa!
Opa!
I don't know why.
Happy day. Why? You know why you say that.
I just love it. It's probably my favorite thing. I don't know why.
Have to tell you,
the little things.
At Chili's of all places last night because I just didn't feel like cooking, and we're sitting at the bar, and my roommate Janet and I, and we're having dinner, and somebody breaks a glass, and two people down yell out "Opa," and I went, "Who said that? I got to go meet them. I have to make friends with them."
Awesome. And you did, I'm sure.
I didn't because they got up and they left.
Oh,
they were ending their night. So
this is the season for friend making. It's Thanksgiving. It's the season. It's all about love and gratitude.
It is. I actually did some fall. We did a little Halloween decorating, just a little. We did a little fall last weekend, and next weekend we're putting up the Christmas tree a week early since Thanksgiving is so late this year, and I'm like in my Hallmark phase already.
Yes, you are.
I'm pretty into Santa. It's really bad.
Starting. It's coming.
It's coming.
I still believe that Christmas should be every other year. I think it's just a little much every year. It's a little hard to think about Christmas when, goodness, you just came off of Christmas, it feels like, But I'm not going to be the Grinch, and I'm definitely not going to be the Scrooge. So I'm just going to welcome Christmas and smile.
Yeah.
Smile through the holidays.
Starts Thanksgiving morning, which is a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, here's the thing. You can make it as joyful as you choose to make it.
Good point. Absolutely good point.
And I say that this is coming from a person who in June starts the Christmas mares, meaning that I'll be having a dream. It's Christmas morning. I've done no decorating, no shopping, no food prep. I have nothing in the house, and I've got to try to get all those things done in 2 hours before my guests arrive.
And those dreams start in June.
They start June.
I see. And you love the holiday season.
I love it. Yes.
Okay. Something's not adding up.
Well, I think it's the host in me, the hostess.
That it has to be just so?
Yeah, but I'm actually going to do it differently this year. And it isn't going to be just so. And I'm good with that.
Are people falling off your list?
No, it's not that. Last year, Christmas morning, I woke up and I threw my neck out so badly I couldn't move. And I still had 25 people or so coming over.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of dinner being around 6:30-ish, it was about 7:15-ish, and people were complaining, even though I was in a tremendous amount of pain. And I was trying to smile through it.
They were complaining that food wasn't...
I was
hungry.
getting somebody, I won't say who, somebody was literally mouthing the words to me, "I'm starving." And I just pointed to the multitude of charcuterie boards, hand decorated by moi, the handmade spanakopita by moi. And I just thought, you know what? I cook for people because I love it. But this year, and I'm still going to do it, this year I'm just scaling it down. I'm making 2 big pots of soup, a big salad, good bread. I'll do my apps, and I'm just going to give myself a little break this year.
Mm-hmm. See, I knew it. I knew it when you said, but something is going to be different this year. that ultimately something was getting cut out because
Something is. Yes.
that's what I grew up to. When our parents said Christmas is going to be a little different this year, we knew, oh God, something's getting cut.
But something's also getting replaced.
Oh.
So all I'm doing is creating a vacuum for a little more time in my schedule to go and do the things that I have not in the last 5 years had an opportunity to do. So I'm easing up on myself so I can go look at Christmas lights with my daughter because we love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can maybe actually accept a holiday party or two.
Yes. How can you love the holiday season and not love a party?
Come on. Nobody loves a party like I love a party.
I mean, come on.
Come on.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying. Right?
Well, speaking of parties, and it's going to be a little different this year. I got the word from a certain who that people who get invited to the party every year and don't come are off the list. It's like, I get it. I totally get it. I'm definitely one of those people, though, that will respond to an invitation, especially if I don't ever make it to the party, begging to be left on the list, even though I've never been able to make it, because there is an intention and a desire to go. It's just always at the wrong time, right? So I do believe that if you want to stay on somebody's list, that you reach out and you ask while you're still on the list. There's the hitch there.
Is there a hint here? Should I be taking a hint?
No, because you come. You've come to the party. So
I've only missed one.
Yeah, so no, it does not apply to you. In fact, I haven't even seen the list, so I don't know to whom it applies. But you know who you are. No, I love that. Okay, before we get started, if you're a new listener, please take this time to like and subscribe.
Go ahead. We'll give you a sec.
Why, thank you. Oh, goodness, seriously. Well, we have guests on our show that we have had before. Well, we've had one of them before.
Mm-hmm.
And we're welcoming them back. And I say no more because I don't say it as well as you do. So I give the introduction to you to please introduce our guests.
Okay, I'm just going to bask in that compliment right now. So now I've got to put on my voice, don't I?
Yes.
Yes. So our guests are members of a super high energy, fun, and entertaining dance band that has been recently voted, well, I think for the 5th year in a row, voted as San Diego's best local band and best cover band, which is pretty amazing. 5 years in a row. The band transitions easily from genre to genre without missing a beat. I know I've seen them live in person. They'll even bring party favors to the party to make guests feel a part of the show.
And can I just repeat?
Yes.
There are no beats missed. Zero.
Beats missed.
Continue,
Yes.
please.
Okay. Woo! I'm a little giddy today. They combine all the elements. So now see what you did to me. Now I got to say that line over again.
It's all about what happens.
All good.
And how you handle it.
They combine all the elements of a high energy Vegas nightclub with a classic Motown show. So please, please, please welcome. Give a round of applause from your seats for the incredible Andrew Johnson and Tyler Hazen from Full Strength Band. Woohoo! Welcome,
gentlemen.
Guys.
Wow. What an intro. Okay. Thanks so much. Happy to be back.
Nobody does an intro like Alex.
I'm impressed.
Right?
Really? Yeah. We're going to get you up on stage so you can introduce the band all the time.
Yeah.
I think we can just sell her as the intro gal and make buku bucks just having her do intros, right?
I'm on board. Yeah. I'm on board. No arguments. Thank you.
Love it.
So what are you guys up to? You're busy. You have lots of dates on the books. You're constantly working. You're out there. You're churning out the dates. Doing all right? Feeling good?
Yeah. We're on a great trajectory right now. We really have some fun things in the works. Got a belly up show, a happy hour show coming up in a few weeks. Mm-hmm. we've been working for years on trying to get a happy hour show downtown, kind of on that belly up model. And we've finally found a location. And so we're going to be doing a first Friday happy hour series at a building at the corner of Market and Park.
Park and Market?
Guggenheim Theater. It's a recently built theater. And so there's a bistro that's there with a full liquor license. So we're really going to be able to deliver a fun happy hour. First one's December 6th, and we're hoping to make it the first Friday of every month from there. So yeah, got some good things in the hopper.
That is an excellent thing. I believe we know the technical director there at Park and Market. I believe it's Dustin Hullum. I believe he's still there.
Did we meet him, Tyler?
We might have. Yeah. That's really cool.
Well, if it's still Dustin, you are in great hands because he knows his stuff. He's a very, very competent technician. And,
they've got quite the setup there. So the sound is well insulated. There's a movie theater on the next floor up. So they've got a really good sound setup, soundproofing, everything. We're looking forward to it.
So what's the pull of a happy hour on a Friday night? And why has that been so difficult to get, to get some placement and to sell that idea?
So there's really not a lot of live music venues in downtown to begin with. We haven't played Music Box for a while, but there was a couple of years there where we were playing at least 2 or 3 times a year. And that to me seemed like an ideal venue. And because Music Box and Belly Up already have that relationship, it's like, guys, Belly Ups have been doing this happy hour for 20 years now. They get 400 or 500 or more people that show up to this. It's somebody's already figured it out. Just
it's a moneymaker.
Downtown, right?
Yeah,
do it downtown. Right. You got a huge residential population. You got office workers that probably don't want to go sit in traffic, so we're giving them an alternative. Music Box has noise restrictions that they had to. I think that in large part didn't allow them to do that. But a buddy of mine, Todd Miller, actually manages that UCSD Park and Market building. And so he and I had some conversations a couple of months ago about being able to do something like this in East Village. So for this first one, the East Village Association is putting money behind it and their marketing weight behind it. And I think everybody kind of sees the value of being able to create this kind of monthly community event. And we're really excited. We're really excited to be part of it and see how we can grow it.
It's just fascinating to me. I've been in San Diego for a little over 30 years, and seeing the uptick and now the downtick of the gas lamp area. And just to hear you say East Village, because there was a time when the East Village was not a place you went and not a place you went for happy hour or live music on a Friday night. So it's fascinating to see and hear how the move has moved east. The activity has moved east, and that you're able to do this in what is really a well-inhabited and well-trafficked area because of the stadium, right, being there, Petco Park, and all of the activity that centers around that stadium and the business in general. There's so much more happening there than in Gaslamp.
Mm-hmm.
That's my side note. I don't know why I felt the need to share it. Maybe because
I think it's a good point.
Yeah, I think you're spot on.
Wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a nice alternative. I love this.
Yeah, that didn't exist.
I've been East Village curious since I moved down here in about 2008. And I kind of saw the potential. There was a couple places. I think Monkey's Paw opened up, within a few years of me being here. And there was kind of the East Village was kind of happening pretty far to the east. There was the void in between, around Park and that, Gaslamp has crept east and the East Village has crept west a little bit. And it's nice to see a little bit of a merger. It's great.
I agree, especially with the state of the Gaslamp. It's just not looking as sharp and pristine as it once did, and it's not an area that's that old. It's had some work done, but I digress. It's nice to know you're in the East Village.
And I have to say, I might have to show up, be as a little pre-birthday celebration that night.
Fantastic.
Love it. Love it. We'd love to see you there.
You also go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I kind of with the East Village moving west and the gas line moving east, I think the area that's really been neglected for me is the north side of Gaslamp. The South Convention side seems to be doing fine. But that north around Broadway, we played the Rock and Roll Marathon a couple years ago, and during the Rock and Roll, we were right down at the stage, kind of by the finish line down there. And you get long breaks because you rotate with another band. You're playing for like an 8-hour, stretch. And we're walking around there, from 10 a.m. into 3 p.m. and that northern part of Gaslamp. Wow, there's really not much going on here anymore. But down the convention center side, I think they've done a better job of keeping it up.
Yeah, especially when there is a convention in town. Obviously there are more people, but I don't know that locals are going to the Gaslamp like they used to. It doesn't feel that way. It feels like when there isn't a convention in town, it's pretty quiet in that area. And since they've closed the street up to Market, you're right. It is a little better because now it's all walking, all pedestrian. But then north of that, it's gritty.
Yeah, and I think Little Italy stole some of the market share there with that becoming more of a nightlife destination than just a dinner destination. That
too.
Point.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a very good point.
So you're also doing Pella Casino, one of several casinos that we have in the area, and you keep a casino on your rotation. It appears. Is there a reason for that? Is that to get it to folks that you won't necessarily be in front of in some of the other venues you play?
The casinos are fun for a couple reasons. It allows us to do a little bit more repertoire than some other gigs. So we're throwing out some kind of some jazz standards mixed in with that. We're throwing back to a little bit of old school soul, and I think with the casino, the audience is just a little bit different. Even the audience in the same room from Thursday to Saturday night is completely different. So we've been able to expand some repertoire. They're not as concerned with keeping the BPM up, so we can do a little bit of our slower stuff that we can't always do. So that's nice to be able to get in and exercise a little bit more repertoire. It's great experience for us to get a little bit out into the northern and eastern parts of the county, and then into the Inland Empire a little bit as well. So it's been great.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's a silent stage, and so it definitely challenges us musically in a different way. It's an electronic drum kit. There's no amps on stage. Everything is pushed through your ears, so they control the volume completely. And it definitely takes a bit of an adjustment because we feed off of a lot of the energy from one another, and some of that's physical, especially as a bass player standing next to a drum kit. I'm used to feeling the kick, that whoosh of air, or the push of air from the back of my bass amp, and it's a very kind of isolating experience to have everything just coming through those ears, no physical sensation. But it's this is all good stuff for the band, and I think it helps us grow musically.
And it's great practice for those rooms. Like I'm thinking of the Coronado Rec Center has a room where they don't allow acoustic drums, or they don't allow certain kinds of amplification. It's really nice practice for those when we go into the private event setting that has these, non-typical, non-traditional rules.
Right.
It allows us to get a lot of experience with the in-ear monitors, the silent stage, things like that.
I love that you're viewing all of these, what maybe some other bands might consider a setback or a detriment, and you're viewing it in such a positive way as a learning and growing experience just to make you better, which another reason why I love you as much as I do.
Yeah, that says a lot about your competence too as a band, your ability to adapt to different situations and environments is what separates the professionals from, quite frankly, the amateurs, the people who don't really get it and understand, because these are the things that a bride, a groom, a meeting client would never know to ask, or might not even know about, What are some of the other things that you do to stay fresh as the band?
Really good question. Obviously, rehearsing.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to the best way to stay fresh, I think, is to play fairly regularly. And the way to keep that exciting is to kind of, like I said, shuffle through some repertoire. I don't know if we put every song we have into I don't know, maybe we have 7 hours, I would say, something like that right now.
Wow.
Maybe
Yeah.
more.
A lot of material.
But you don't always get to explore all of that,
Right.
at each gig. So it's fun to be able to shuffle through that. That keeps playing together as regularly as we do exciting. And so playing together regularly keeps it tight, and then mixing it up keeps it exciting.
Do you have a regular rehearsal schedule that you follow?
We used to. We've been kind of we've got a lot of folks with some great, opportunities in the middle of the week. So we are, kind of week to week changing it up on that.
But
So
you're
you're
on
playing.
top of it.
I mean, we used to rehearse much more frequently, but we also, like a lot of bands, had to rehearse that frequently because some people, don't necessarily do their homework. So you have to do a lot of, they talk about the difference between rehearsing and practicing. And if somebody doesn't practice, then a rehearsal basically it turns into an organized practice.
Mhm.
We're at that point, fortunately, where everybody takes the music really seriously, puts in the time and the effort on their own. So we don't have to take those regular rehearsals like we used to. And we've done this. I mean, the point, a show or two ago at Paula, we put a couple songs on the set list that we'd never played together live before.
Mm.
And talk about keeping things interesting. To have something that's coming up, and we've all put the time in, but to perform it basically for the first time in front of an audience without any kind of rehearsal, that keeps things interesting.
How'd it go? I'm sure great.
Great.
Yeah,
everybody put
90% of the time that works because everyone's having so much fun with it and everyone's so excited, and you're not on autopilot. You're thinking and your head's up and you're looking and
yeah.
You're also
go ahead.
You're also playing a number of dates every month. This month alone, I see 5 of them. That doesn't include anything that you might have private, right? Just your public dates. And to your point, those almost serve as rehearsals because you're doing it so frequently that they do serve, they tighten the band. Every performance tightens the band, right? So it's when you're not working and you don't have dates that you really need the rehearsal, I would imagine, to make sure that we're still in tune with each other and that, we haven't lost some of that pizzazz, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think, as and you guys have seen this latest promo video that we've been working on, and we're very focused on taking this band to the next level. So I suspect that we will start rehearsing on a more frequent basis, but not necessarily for the music as much as the choreography and the overall look and kind of the tightening up the package of being performers versus just musicians.
Yeah.
I have a question for you because as actors, when you're rehearsing a show, they say there's a fine line between rehearsing enough and over rehearsing. Do you find that that's something you guys have to deal with?
That's interesting. I think that there's definitely a point where you can over rehearse. On the choreography side, I don't think that I personally have found that point yet. So
Guilty as well.
But certainly musically, I think there's a point where, okay, this is good enough, and okay, maybe we don't sound like Mariah Carey on this take, but we sound pretty darn good, and maybe trying to sound more like her is going to be detrimental. There is a point, I think, where things you have to know when we've done this song 10 times in a row, it's pretty darn good. Let's move on to something else.
Yeah, I think the movement and the music have to be in your body and second nature for you to not need to rehearse it anymore. And specifically so, so that in choreography, it's a lot, it's more precise. Music is precise, of course, but the elbows have to be at the same level, the hands have to be splayed at the same rate. It's about that kind of tightness and synchronicity, excuse me, that makes it so fabulous. And you only get that with rehearsal.
Right.
Yep.
Right. But again, to your point, I mean, you also want it to have, somewhat of an organic feel to it. You don't want it to look mechanized, regimented. And, as musicians, I think, we take some liberties, I think, with the way that we play these songs. And, we don't play them the exact same way each time. And certainly, I'm trying out new bass lines and changing things up from time to time. And yeah, so I totally hear what you're talking about, that balance between having it so that it's comfortable, but
and still
not
fresh.
that it's too rigid.
And the audiences help keep it fresh, don't they? I mean, it's always a different audience, right?
Yeah.
You don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
it's the variable there, right? It's, we get that energy from the audience, and because every audience is different, the energy that we're getting back and feeding off of is going to be different.
So we've said that you don't miss a beat in your introduction, and we mean that literally. The idea, the fact that you can move from one genre into another smoothly, keeping the energy up. Do you call tunes on the sly when you're up there? Do you make alternate decisions based on the crowd, and what's the protocol there? How does that happen? Who makes that call if in fact you've got a set list and you're ready to move into a tune, but you realize, oh wait, this is working really well, we want to continue this? How would that come about, and how would that manifest?
Yeah, there's a couple things you have to have. You have to be able to read the crowd. And, I have a little bit of experience when I was younger as like a wedding DJ, like a party DJ. So you get some good practice.
Doesn't surprise me, Tyler.
You get a lot of good practice reading the crowd that way. You have to kind of have an ethos in the band that this is what we do. We don't take a break, turn around, say, okay, let's do this now. And then, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to have that kind of that ethos and be experienced in doing that. You have to have a great drummer who's going to be able to do that. That's a big deal. You have to be able to pick up on the tempo shifts from song to song, if you're not stopping in between songs. And so that comes from the rhythm section, kind of responding to the drummer and making any corrections you need to. But yeah, frequently what'll happen is I'll call it out. That the one benefit of in-ear monitors, if everyone's on in-ears, I can say to the talkback, okay, guys, we're doing this next, and we always can find it. But yeah, if I ever have any doubt, sometimes you'll see me go back to Andrew. Do you think these guys are like an 80s or a 90s medley more? And he'll say, oh, let's do an 80s one, So, but yeah, it's just comes from reading the crowd. We do a pretty good job at the public spaces. We know really well it's a repeat crowd. We can draft a set list that's perfect, that we know there's going to be a huge surge in the crowd energy here at 8:30. At about 9:20, it's going to dip. People are going to go to the bar. We'll get them back at 10. We know that in our public events. In the private event space, that's always changes because maybe the events, maybe the speeches ran long, maybe it's getting delayed. So having that flexibility and reading that crowd is really important.
Right. Maybe they've been in meetings all day. Maybe they're exhausted. Maybe they have an early flight out. Maybe their partner isn't with them, so they're not going to respond. Yeah, there's a million things, right? So what are some of the other things that you've noticed are different about private events from your public events?
Andrew, do you want to start? I've got a few, but go ahead.
No, go for it, man.
Yeah. One thing I was going to say is, there's basically two kinds of private events. There's the kind where people are ready to start going from minute one. And then there's the kind where you really kind of need to get people out of their shells. We did the Excellence Awards, I think it was called. And from the minute those people showed up, it was maybe 2,000 people at the Town and Country. They were ready to party, and it was a blast. And they were, every speaker that said anything, they were screaming and cheering them on, and they were ready to go. Other folks, like you said, maybe they haven't, they came from the office. They're still shaking off the work day. They're around their coworkers. It's maybe a super professional environment. They need to get out of their shell, get on the dance floor a little bit. That's a big thing is you just don't really know what kind of crowd you're going to walk into at these events, and how the rest of the event has kind of shaped them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, how the rest of the event has kind of shaped them. It's a good point, and one that I don't think everybody thinks about. You really have to take into consideration what those people have been through all day, not
Yeah.
just when they walked in the door, because that definitely is going to impact their desire to participate, engage, listen. If they're first coming to something that they haven't been to for a year and they go every year and they know people and they're first getting there, then they're probably going to want to chat with other people and not, be on the dance floor. So it's all about that. And hopefully some of those decisions are made in advance of calling you so that you're not having to ferret out those details and you're not in a situation where, there's an expectation from, and we've had this experience where there's an expectation from a planner that you're going to get people to dance, but you're not really set up for that. You're not set up for success because that's not the environment that needs to be created.
Because they just ran the in memoriam roll, right? And then they said, "Ladies and gentlemen,"
right.
Can't tell you how many times that's happened.
Right.
So
Or
in a
when
sense, you're musical therapists.
Yeah,
right. Or when something goes long, the implication of something going way too long is underestimated.
Oh.
When people leave after that, it's not because the entertainers didn't do a good job getting them on the dance floor. It's because somebody previous to that wore them out.
Mm-hmm.
And, that gets missed a lot. And so I wondered about the differences because I wonder how many times you're put in a situation when you can't really get people up to dance because they're not in the space, in the mood, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Have you been put in that situation?
Yeah, we have. And sometimes it's the nature of the event. Sometimes it's something really meaningful and impactful, like, an organization like Homestart or something like that. They've got a great message and it's very emotional. And sometimes and that can lead to a great, really killer set and a great crowd response. But sometimes it takes a minute to kind of transition.
Right.
We've done all kinds of organizations. We did one where they were basically auctioning off the ability to adopt these retired police canine dogs, so everyone's in a feel good moment there. That was fantastic. And so, yeah, there's all kinds of things that factor into it. People like to leave early, and sometimes the way that our schedule is set by the planner works really well for that. Sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, we'd like to be kind of involved in shaping the event. Probably, I would say more than other bands. Like, I tend to give a lot of feedback to wedding planners and event planners, just kind of like, hey, just so you know, I think the crowd will probably dip here. Maybe we should do one long set rather than two short ones. Things like that. We tend to give some advice.
For sure. Yeah. And weddings especially. I mean, they're so hands-on from the band's perspective. I mean, I don't think that we've done a wedding in the last couple of years where I didn't have an email chain with that wedding planner that didn't have at least 100 messages back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because, they know what they do. We know what we do. And so there's a lot of talk back and forth to really get that thing tight. And, and then we oftentimes will offer to learn like the first dance song, or like a father-daughter dance song, things like that. So getting timing down and the details down, it's pretty time intensive, but always so much fun. I mean, like the corporate events, you never really know how people are going to engage because they're maybe on their best behavior, looking to get out of there. Weddings, it's an open bar. It's mostly a lot of young people that are ready to blow it out. And so, yeah, when we deliver that dance music, and always so much fun.
And there really is a difference in the expectation of a wedding client from a band or for a band than a corporate client. You are, as the band, you are intricately involved in the scheduling of the evening and ensuring that things happen as they're scheduled, because in most cases, with all due respect to Tyler, you are the MC of the wedding and you're making sure that people are following, the call to do whatever's next. In a corporate event, that's rarer than it is common. Usually it's okay, all of the business is over, get them up, get them dancing, have some fun with them, but you're not so much responsible for ensuring that things lay out in a certain way. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, there's much more on our shoulders at a wedding. It's like, for example, some of the events we've worked with you. I know that at an event you guys do, I know I'm going to get a chance to take a little break.
Mm-hmm.
At a wedding,
Mm-hmm.
I get no opportunities. I'm the first one there and the
Yep.
last one to leave. And yeah, because we're often doing a lot of times
Yeah.
we're doing ceremony music, we're doing emceeing, we're doing the first dances. I'm facilitating the speeches, all the toasts, providing microphones for that.
Yes.
We're DJing in between our sets when the band
Yes.
stopped and playing any requests and yeah, and it's a lot of fun. I think weddings are unbelievably fun gigs, but they're probably the highest,
So
the most work and the most stress for sure.
are you the DJ, Tyler?
Typically, yeah. So sometimes, yeah, typically.
It was something that we were surprised to learn, that we didn't realize that you were also putting that piece into your performance as a band as well. So that helps to really bridge any energy gaps that might occur, right? Because you're not only the lead singer, you're also the DJ, so you know what energy's been they've been exposed to and where you want to take them. So it's a little bit more fluid, right? I assume when you add that into your mix.
Yeah, it's nice. It takes some time actually for the band to learn that when I walk off stage and go over to the mixer that don't keep going. You know what I mean? It took a minute to kind of to make that adjustment. But yeah, it works really well. It can work very well.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Well. And we also have great DJ partners that we've worked with too that really have fun with it, kind of reading what song we're playing. And we really love working with them, but that's something we also provide.
I think one of the things that we realize in our section portion of the business is the lack of understanding of the time commitment that you make as a band for, let's just say, a 3 or 4 hour gig. Could you walk us through what the day would look like, what your protocols are, how you plan for an event, a gig that night as a band?
Yeah. Well, let's say we've got, it's a wedding and we've got a request. So we probably, for a first dance, we very likely, unless it's something that's in our repertoire. The secret is often the first dance songs we get are the same. A lot of people want to have their first dance to Chris Stapleton's Tennessee Whiskey or something, but let's assume it's a new request and okay, we got to get in the rehearsal room and bang this out. So if the wedding's Saturday, we're probably rehearsing on Thursday. We're probably jamming that song and any others that maybe we want to introduce. Andrew's probably had 100 different emails back and forth with the planner. So day of, basically what I'll do is I'll make sure I've got printed out and on my iPad both the list of all the names with pronunciations of people that I have to announce, the requests, the timeline, that we've got loaded up on a playlist or something. We've got the break songs, any father daughter, mother son dances. So that's kind of all the stuff before we get to the venue. And then once we get there, I'm probably there 2.5 to 3 hours before downbeat, and then I like to be there before the rest of the band, so I don't have to be bumping into people and I can set up all the sound and stuff like that for about an hour, and then the rest of the band shows up maybe 90 minutes before, when I'm usually just about finished up. And and then we'll, oftentimes if the ceremony is at 4, we start like a cocktail jazz portion at 5, and then we start, our dance portions maybe at 7 until 10 or 11, and and then we're packing up for another hour. So that's a typical wedding.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long day.
It's a long day.
How about you, Andrew?
Well, so I was thinking about the fact that weddings tend to be so fluid. One of the recent weddings, the event planner, we were mid-song and there was a scheduling change, and so the event planner comes up and starts talking to me, having this full on conversation while, we're in the middle of the song and I got backup vocals to sing and I'm trying to, talk about patting your head,
Multitask.
rubbing your
Right,
stomach.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So, it's, you gotta be able to adapt. And I think we've gotten pretty good at that over the years.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
amazing what people will come up and try to have a long conversation with you about, mid performance.
Yes.
Oh, my
Working here.
husband really likes the Beatles. It's like, so does everyone, ma'am. I'm trying to, I'm trying to sing here.
Have you ever had to like
oh Lord.
just get someone away? I mean, have you ever had to just not be rude, or be rude, cut them off?
We you learn how to do that well, right? And you kind of try to read. You say something like, "Oh, thank you so much. I'd love to talk to you in a minute, but I'm focused on it." And if that doesn't work, then I usually just completely, give them the 180, and that often works pretty well. I like to be friendlier than that, but
I mean, you have a job to do.
yeah.
Get on
Yes.
stage.
There are other people in the room to please.
Right.
Yeah. But pretending something's going wrong and that you have to adjust the sound on the iPad actually works really great, even if nothing's wrong at all.
I love it. I love it.
Something
So how
tells
are-
me
how-
you have a theater background. I don't
Right.
know what.
So how are band decisions made for Full Strength? Is it a vote or are decisions handed down? It's a big group. So, curious to know how things come about with regard to what the band does, where you perform, what you wear, those kinds of decisions.
It can be tough you want to be like democratic and providing everyone input while at the same time pursuing like a singular vision, which can be really tough with so many people who have good ideas, like 10, we have 10, 11 in the band. Like, they've got good ideas, but, is that in line with this particular vision, or would that be, a lot of times what people's vision is if there's 11 of me, this is how we would be the best band. If there's 11 Andrews or 11 Tylers, 11 Zoes, 11 Talons, 11 Pams, that's the best. That's a lot of times what people see for their ideal band, and so it's kind of about us going with a singular vision without alienating it or rejecting other people's really good ideas, and involving them collaboratively in that process as much as you can, and the vision can change quite a bit depending on the personnel. I think we've sort of shifted our vision a bit based on some like really nice surprises we've gotten, and some talent that we've got that we didn't maybe always expect we were going to have. So I think that's being able to evolve that while still kind of having this vision. The big thing for us is we wanted to be like, we wanted to be a band where people never left the dance floor. We would go to shows and we'd see someone play a killer song. They're playing Tainted Love or something, and everyone is on the dance floor, loving it, having a great time. And then they do a dramatic ending on the song with the cymbals and holding out a chord. And then everybody's clapping, and then everyone kind of walks off, and it's, 30 seconds before they start the next song. And, people might want to dance to the next song, but you kind of have to constantly win over your audience. You have to win them back on the dance floor. And we kind of thought, we're going to like these clubs in Las Vegas and in Gaslamp and stuff, and DJs are going song to song. And not only that, they're making sure you don't get bored. They're only playing 90 seconds of the tune. They're giving you verse, chorus, really nice escalation, beat drop, and then they're transitioning it into something else. And so that's what we've tried to do. Is nobody really wants to hear the third verse to Brick House, or it's everyone wants to hear Brick House, but they want to sing the chorus, they want to shake it down, and then they want to move on to something else. So it's been finding a way to pursue that vision without kind of alienating the other good ideas that people have.
It's interesting you said that, because I just had this visceral remembrance of the times when you're out dancing to a band and there is that lull and you stand there like as the person, the guest dancing, and you're dancing with somebody you don't know. Do we stay? Do we continue? Do we part? What do we do? And the fact that you get the importance of not having that happen is really amazing.
And for me, it came from not just a DJ space, but also putting on events. So, in college, I worked in like housing and residential life and stuff like that. And we put on, events, whether it's a mixture with, the student, we had a huge population of students that would come over from Japan. And so we'd put on all these mixers and stuff with all these students. And you'd notice like some of these events worked really well and some it was awkward facilitating the conversation. And one thing I noticed is if you guys don't have music on, like people are just standing there basking in their own silence, it's awkward for people. They leave.
Mm-hmm.
So that same thing happens even when you're going to see a concert. When the music stops, if there's not something engaging you, if you're just sitting there watching the drummer and everyone take a sip of their drink, it's no matter how great the band is, it's a lull.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a break in the energy, and it gives people an opportunity to disengage, and that's exactly the opposite of what you're trying to do as a performer. You're trying to keep them engaged, so you're working against yourself when you take those breaks in between. You are also a band. I want to get into the business side of it a bit. You are a band that is a partnership, as I understand it, and so you have an EIN number, and you formed an entity. The band is also a legal entity. How does that help or hinder your ability to get work? And if so, how?
It's a good question. I don't think it's hindered us. The biggest thing it does is that the problem was before that, if someone writes you a check made out to the band, that's originally that was basically why we kind of became an official partnership, is we need to be able to cash these checks made out to the band. I don't think, Andrew, unless you can think of anything, I don't think it's certainly not been a hindrance. It's nice to be able to do it legit, and we pay our taxes every year, we file it, we do that thing. We're really honest about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And it also shows a level of professionalism, and that's really across the board. We can supply the insurance if somebody needs that. We've got the legal entity. So just the message we wanted just to give people from beginning to end is that we're professional and responsive.
And with AB5, which hasn't really gone away, it is the right path to take for any band. Reason why I wanted to ask you that question is because there are still groups out there where you pay an individual who will then cash the check and pay the other members of the band, and that's not exactly the right way to go about this legally from a tax point of view, from business point of view. And so I commend you for taking that step. It makes it easier for an agency like ours to work with you because we can prove through your own paperwork and your own doings that you are a legal entity. And, we don't have that ability with everybody that we work with. And it very well may someday be the differentiating factor between groups. Those who choose not to take that route will have a harder time getting work, especially in light of the needs for insurance, to be able to prove you're insured when you go. I mean, almost any property we're on or in today, we have to prove that we're insured. And I imagine the same thing applies to you. If you're working outside of an agency, they're going to ask you, are you insured? You just said that you are.
Fairly routine for us. Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
It's just a way to ensure that you're going to get the business. It doesn't mean you're going to get the business, but it's certainly not going to hinder your getting the business. It's not going to be the reason you're not going to get something. And that's possibly going to happen to groups that don't decide that they're going to do it legally, form an entity, get a bank account, get the insurance, all of those things that prove that you're a business and that you're handling your work like a business.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
Which one of you?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think there's a lot of groups too who are kind of set up truly on like an independent contractor model where it's different faces every time they play, you know, and that's one thing we like the consistency of having the same people day in and day out as much as possible. Obviously, when you're playing a lot, you know, it's not always feasible. You know, somebody's got a funeral out of state to go to or a wedding or something, you know, it happens. But yeah, I think there are some bands where every time it's a different, you know, 4, 5, 6 folks, but we try to be the you know, the same folks, band
Right.
members.
And you really couldn't do that with the way that we play music. I mean, there's definitely bands out there that have a lot of rotating people in and out, but the way they're able to do that is by primarily playing single edit songs and, you know, show up, know the part, be able to play it in a performance setting. But there's so much orchestration and kind of customization to the way we put that music together, as we talked about before. It'd be not darn near impossible for a musician just to show up, you know, even if they have charts in front of them, and to really be able to pull it off successfully. So, yeah, having a core group of people that, you know, that we can rely on, that are able to make, you know, except in the case of an emergency, you know, the shows that we schedule is a really key part of why we're, you know, achieving what we are and hopefully continuing this trajectory forward.
So you have a first string, I assume, and then a backup. Let's call them swings, because
Yeah.
it's much nicer than
Yes.
you know, a second string. You have swings that come in and out as needed to replace people that can't make it. Because again, you're a large group, 10 to 11, so that's a lot of people to pull together.
We have at least one backup for pretty much every position in the band.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And you know, I just would like to point out that again, just to reiterate, the difference between what you're doing and what a pickup band does, which is what we're discussing now, those bands that have members that come in and out of the band, and you know, every gig might be a different group. The difference is the fluidity of your performance and the segueing from song to song, the ability to keep the energy up. You don't get that with a pickup band. It's, to your point, Andrew, impossible for them to do it because they don't play together enough to be really tight and solid. And they have to pause in between songs because they need that break, you know, to move into something new, to you know, to be on the same page. They need that break. So it's of the two, if anybody is looking at a band that is a pickup band and looking at a band like Full Strength that is a cohesive group, there's really no decision. You want to go with the cohesive group. There's so much less you'll have to worry about by going with a cohesive group than you will with a pickup group. And that's not something that people know.
Well, actually, I wanted to ask you and kind of tap into your experience here. I mean, there's bands that are very successful. I don't name any names necessarily, but they do kind of work off of this model where they have usually it's vocalists and it's consistent vocalists, and that's what gives them energy. But the people behind the vocalists, those are people that could be switched in and out, you know, gig from gig. And, you know, as we're looking at trying to move more into the private event space, doing more travel, national, international travel, certainly bring our band to that next level. I'd be curious what your take is on whether that's something. I mean, if you have a super hot front line, you do, you know, talent buyers or corporate event planners, do they see those kinds of nuances? How are they making their decisions on, you know, which bands they're going to select?
I think it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a lot of dates and just a lot of work, and you're not as interested in the overall product and how it looks and feels, then you're going to have pickup players. But if you are interested in going abroad in doing some high-end dates, then you need a product that differs from what other people are doing. You need something that's tight and that is show worthy. And I think that's the difference. It's a show band that feel that you're going for rather than a dance band feel, because it's the show band that will get the offers to travel and go abroad, because those products are fewer and far in between, because they are looking for that nuance. They are looking for the band that not only can get dance people, but if somebody in the audience doesn't want to dance, they can sit and watch and enjoy just as much because the band is giving them a show. So I would say that the groups that do that best in our arena are the ones that get invited to travel and work a lot, and they're more dedicated to the product, just like It Sounds You Are, than they are to the idea of getting a lot of fast gigs.
Right.
So if you look on the internet and you search for bands on the internet, you'll see some popular names pop up in cities throughout the country where it's a name of a band that's being licensed, if you will, throughout the country, but you're not going to get that player that you had in Phoenix if you go to Miami. It's a different group altogether. They're just licensing the name, and that's basically what you're buying as a buyer, which is just so much different, right?
So if you are that person that's throwing the corporate event, how are they making that determination then, so they don't end up getting, the second string band that's operating under that licensed name, and they don't end up having the the performance that they were expecting? How do buyers work around that?
Yeah, they either know the products really well because they've been doing it long enough, or they work with an agency like ours that can help them to determine the differences between products. Sometimes it's budget driven, because the show bands, as you've said, you're moving up. That's your goal. They make more, they charge more. There's a lot more involved. So sometimes it's just a budget thing that drives the decision. But Andrew, it's a fair question, because what we have found is that they don't know 9 times out of 10 what they're getting. And they don't know until it actually lays out in front of them and they see there's not a lot of flexibility. The songs aren't as tight. There are these big, that's when they realize, oh, they still don't understand the difference between a show band and a pickup band. They just know that they had a bad experience with that band. So you're always educating, and I'm sure you're doing that too. And I'm sure that that's part of your sales process. And if it isn't, then make it, because you've got to educate the client to, and some of them won't care, and you'll do your best, and you'll try to tell them this is why you're going to be a better choice. And at the end of the day, maybe it's the dollar, or it's some other reason. Maybe there's a song that a band, whatever it is, you might not get the gig. But you always want to sell at that level, and you always want to educate when you sell, because they don't understand the difference. They don't know until it hits them in the face most of the time.
Yeah.
I just want to add something too, that from an audience member perspective, the difference between watching a band like you or watching a pickup band are the relationships on stage. You are playing for the audience. You are there to entertain and bring something amazing to the crowd that's watching, but you're also playing with each other. I see the camaraderie and the smiles and the fun and the back and forth while you're performing. I see that on stage with you. And as someone watching, that is so delightful, as opposed to each person doing their part. And they're affecting each other, but not to the level of fun that you guys are.
Which is what happens when you are rehearsed, and the music and the steps are all second nature. That's when the personalities come out and the fun happens on stage. And that's, again, another difference between a pickup band and a band such as yours, because it's the rehearsal and the fact that there is so much cohesiveness in what you do that you can have some fun.
Yeah,
right?
Trust factor there, that if somebody does this, oh, okay, let's go with it, because there's a trust factor, because you know each other so well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And we can take small risks, right? Because we have that trust and that comfort. We can, we can do something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's really remarkable. I mean, considering how many people are in this band, I mean, just that tight camaraderie. I mean, we really all really truly enjoy and respect one another. And I think that is the core of, what makes us put on the kinds of performances. And I think that speaks to people, even if they really couldn't put their finger on that,
Mm-hmm.
that there's this level of trust that we have in one another. And people sense that.
1,000%. They sense it. 1,000%. And it's the reason why they're having as much fun is because they can see that you are. If they didn't sense that you were having fun, they wouldn't have as much fun. It's the way it works.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah. I
So-
mean, we've had, not that often, but we've had a couple of corporate gigs where, people, there ended up being 10 people in the room, and we're having just as much fun playing with each other when there's an audience of 10 versus an audience of 5,000.
Yeah. And I feel in a way that that's something that it's important that band members understand. People, not you, Andrew, not you, Tyler, because you're on the front line and you see what happens, but those people that you work with who may take it personally when a group doesn't respond or, or thins out. You want to remind them, hey, this is not about us at all. This is nothing that happens is about us. We're here to entertain. If they love it, great. We'll do our best work. That's all that matters here, because you really cannot take it personally when you're on stage and you don't get the response in this setting that you'd like to get.
Well,
Sure.
and also to bring it back to an earlier point, you don't know what their day has been. You guys get this. So it really drives home the fact that it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun transition though, because I feel like and this is probably a common trajectory when a band starts doing a lot of private events, is when they get to a stage where in the club scene in their local area, they're doing pretty well. I assume, that's kind of what happened for us, is people would come out and see us, and they'd hire us and things like that. So, you start having this upward trajectory in the clubs where you're doing really well. And then you play, your first few corporate gigs. This is years ago for us now, but
Mhm.
you do your first few corporate gigs and it's like, wait, what happened? Well, are we off tonight? And it took a few. And then after about 3-4 gigs, you realize, okay, we are going to have fun playing with each other, regardless of, what the reaction is. And then, of course, 9 out of 10 times you get the great reaction. But
Mhm.
yeah, that, a few of those gigs, people are tired. They like hearing the music. Maybe they don't want to dance. Maybe they really want to dance. And it takes them a little while to get out of their shells. But it was a fun little adjustment. It took a couple months.
I had an aha moment back in probably 2010, 2011, and I was working on a private event and I booked Heart for this client,
Yeah.
private event. And they agreed to do a meet and greet before the show, Heart did. And I walked in and brought the client in, and they were visibly nervous.
Mm.
They hadn't done many corporate gigs at the time, and I couldn't understand why they were so visibly nervous. And then it hit me. This is a corporate audience. This is not a ticket buying audience. They don't know how these people are going to respond to them and their heart.
Wow. And I mean, I'm a huge Heart fan. So
Right.
that's to hear that they got that makes me feel really great, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good lesson for us all that, the audience isn't there for even Heart, even though they've been invited to this special event. Nobody else is going to see them in this arena. Even all of that, they might not be a Heart fan. And
They
so
didn't
they
make
might
the choice to buy the ticket and go to the
Right.
venue and be there.
Exactly. It's not an intentional choice to pay money and see an artist. And so it's going to be different. And, even on that level, it's different is the point of the story. Yeah.
If you're used to holding the mic out to the crowd and hearing them scream Barracuda and, it's not as loud one night, I can see how that would be something that, might make me a little, well, what did I do wrong? What do we
Right.
do? Can they hear
Right.
me?
Right. Right. In the theater world, you're taught at the very beginning, before you have a career, while you're auditioning, never to make any excuses ever. And so you learn that you just have to do your best work, do the best that you can, and whatever falls down, falls down.
Mhm.
It's live.
Yep.
And, it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. So, one last question, that before we part, not forever, hopefully not for too long. You, not so long ago, you changed your name from Full Strength Funk to simply Full Strength. And so we just want to make sure we understand the reason for losing the funk. And if it's working to your advantage, the fact that you've simplified the name.
Andrew, do you want to take this? We were just talking about this earlier today, actually.
There's a few venues that still haven't gotten the memo. And we did this, 6, 7 years ago?
It's been a while.
Yeah,
Has
it has been a while. And
Wow.
it was really driven by the fact that we play so much more than funk.
That's what we figured.
So it felt limiting.
Pigeonholing you.
Also, pigeonholing. And so, hip hop, Latin stuff. We're playing all this modern stuff. Our latest mashup is a 20s mashup, songs that were released in the last 4 years. And that's a direct effort to connect with a younger generation, and certainly, especially for the weddings. So there's so much more. We love our funk for sure, but we play a lot of other styles of music these days.
It was an asset.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Alex.
No, you go ahead, because this.
Yeah, it was an asset among a certain group. Having that in the title, knowing that I'm a fan of funk. It was also more than it was an asset, though, among those funk fans. It was we didn't realize, first of all, how few people actually really kind of know what that even means.
How many people got the funk?
Or having a different kind of definition of it. They think that, funk, that's only stuff, until 1976. There was nothing after that. Once the 80s hit, there's no more funk. So we found that among, especially like in a corporate wedding, like a broad audience, a modern broad audience, it was a little limiting for for what we actually do and want to do. But I think we're still rooted in that. We still, is it funky enough for us to play, is a question we ask anytime anybody suggests a song. Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that. I think we figured that to be the case, that you're being pigeonholed, and maybe the diehard fans get a little upset when you stray out of the funk, and and those who don't particularly know or care for funk might just not even consider you because it's in your title. So it makes sense business wise to have lost the title, but not the feel.
Yeah, that's right. I like that.
Yeah.
Definitely not. And I just want to say too that with your new information you sent me, I don't know how public you want to be with that. What a pleasure it is for me to see. I know how diverse you guys are, but to see even how much more diverse you are than I thought. And I'm excited about what you guys are doing and how we can help promote you.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. And we really appreciate that. And we went to you for feedback on that because we really value your opinions and look forward to having this ongoing and growing relationship with Bollotta.
Well, we don't get to work with you enough, and I do think it's because of the fact that you're a big product, and that doesn't always work. But we also appreciate the fact that you're a big product and you are very special in that way. There are very few, if any, other groups that are doing what you're doing consistently and sticking to your guns and saying, this is who we are. This is how we go out. Sometimes it's just a question of space.
Right.
That's sometimes what it is. It's unfortunate, but you know what? Nobody ever got there by making a lot of excuses and making a lot and watering down what they do.
Right.
Amen.
I love that.
So you've got to stick to your guns, and there will be. First of all, we're in a city that continues to grow, and the groups will get larger, and you'll start to see that. And with the larger groups, the larger bands are going to be needed. So I think you're you're positioning yourself really well. It's just, it's what you're doing now is you're definitely putting in the time and the effort for something grander at the end of the rainbow. It's only a matter of time.
Yep. Thank you. It's great to hear.
Thank you for bringing your professionalism, your musicality, and your sensibility to the space. It's really a pleasure to work with people like you who get it and understand that there is more than just the music, at hand when you are providing the music. There's other things that are just as important.
There is.
Right?
Yes, for sure.
So thank you. You really do represent the best of the best, and we're proud to say that we know you, and we're always proud to put you up in front of clients, always. And it
means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do want to add that as the person who has the times we have been able to work together and the person who's been the one doing all the logistics with you guys, how easy you make my job.
Yeah.
That's saying a lot, and you have
no
idea how much I appreciate it.
I have been known for being a bit of a what is the thing they call you when you don't stop saying the same thing? A broken record. There you go.
I'm glad you answered that. That was kind of broad. I wasn't going to jump in there.
I got there.
Yeah.
I got there. But the attitude, the look, the ability to be on time, to be ready, to have a clean looking product in terms of your setup, that all matters as much, if not more, than the musicality in our space.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get all that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you're going to go far. You're going to go wherever you want to go, because that's the stuff that nobody tells you about when you're a musician, that nobody says is important when you're a musician, and is so very important. And it's the difference. It's the difference between those who make it and those who don't.
It's like a doctor who gets bedside manner.
Mm-hmm.
Musicians should be taught a course in kindness.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And not everyone would predict that, you have a rule in the band that's no orange extension cords on the front of the stage, but we think about all that stuff. So
yes. And there are people who will tell you that they are embarrassed if there are chords that show. And I'm one of them, because it just looks unprofessional, and somebody will notice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody will notice. Well, gentlemen,
we love stage. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, we love our stage skirting. We love that.
We love it. And put it on last, please.
Yeah.
wait till we're done. Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, for coming back and telling us more. Gentlemen, thank you. The band is full strength, and we look forward to seeing you again, seeing you live, and just keep making great music.
We'll do it.
Hey, thank you for listening to Bollotta-FIDE.
If you haven't already, please like and subscribe.
And remember to leave us your questions or comments at bollotta.com/podcast.
Bollotta-FIDE is a production of Bollotta Entertainment.
Hey, that's a lot of Bollotta. Stay engaging.